Now it's 8. Okay, well, welcome to Zoom and Tell. We're glad everyone was able to join us this evening. And I'm going to let David kind of bring us up to speed. Before I do that, I am going to mute everybody. So, David, you'll have to unmute yourself.
Okay.
But for those of you that did not attend the fall program, David is giving us a shortened view of all of this. Okay, everybody should be muted. So David, I just need you to unmute and we'll let you have a few announcements and then start your program.
Thank you, Julie. Normally, this is the time that I introduce the speaker. Well, the speaker is me tonight. So I did the program in Cambridge for the fall meeting on Decanters, Beverage Sets, and Cocktail Shakers. And many guests of the program in Cambridge volunteered to bring in decanters. So if you have a Facebook account, you should be able to see a few of those if you follow the Cambridge Facebook page, the membership page. Cindy has a museum Facebook page where she promotes the museum, but NCC also has a Facebook page. So if you look on there, there's lots of various photos from that evening. The program was videotaped, recorded, and that will be available at some point. So I'm going to go through tonight in our normal 15-minute window of education, go through an abbreviated fall program. And then the most important part of the evening is when everyone shares glass from their collection. So I'm going to go ahead and get started. And Julie, toward the end, I will, I want to let Jack do an introduction to his program for December. So everyone that participates in Zoom and Tell will know exactly what the program is going to be. And since Jack's leading that, I'm going to let him preview that program. The title of the program was Decanters, Beverage Sets, and Cocktail Shakers. When I made up that title, I didn't realize that Cambridge had a very specific meaning for beverage sets. So not everything that serves a beverage is considered a beverage set in the Cambridge catalog. So when we talk about beverage sets, I'll be a little bit clear on that. First of all, decanters, that's a French term that started back in the 1600s. And as you know, the French were very famous for their wines that they were making in France a long time ago. They're fine wines. Cambridge made two styles of decanters. There's what I refer to as the tilt decanter, where the stopper angles out to the side. And then they also made a decanter where it's a vertical decanter where the stopper is on top. Both of those designs are efficient for allowing any sediment in the wine to settle toward the bottom. And then when you pour off the wine from the decanter, you don't have all the sediment in there, and you can pour it from the top so you don't have sediment in your pour. The second topic was beverage sets. I don't have a beverage set here to show, but one of the beverage sets that is most famous that Cambridge made is the keg set. So if you imagine what the keg set is, it consists of a decanter, an under tray or a plate of some kind, along with some small glasses or tumblers. And Cambridge in the 1920s developed 20 specific beverage sets that they offered for purchase. A cocktail shaker is something different, and Cambridge made two versions of a cocktail shaker. The first version that they made came with a metal lid, and the metal lid, if you take the top off of it, has many holes, and these holes are designed for straining the ingredients of that particular cocktail. This is always fun trying to put this back. Okay. So you would put ice, the alcohol, any special ingredients, and you would shake the cocktail vigorously, take the top off, pour, and once you empty the container, you would empty out the contents and get ready for your next cocktail. So metal lids and metal strainers was one kind of cocktail shaker Cambridge made. Another kind of cocktail shaker they made had a glass lid. This is the pristine cocktail shaker with the Chesterfield cutting on it. So same idea, you would put the ingredients in here. The only difference is you have a glass lid. And if you arrange that correctly, where the air hole in the back is allowing air to get in the cocktail shaker and the small pour holes are in the front, you tilt it, out comes the beverage, the ice and any other ingredients that were put into the cocktail remain. You could quickly dump out those ingredients and begin preparation on the next cocktail. So those are the three things the fall program was based upon. In the beginning of the factory in 1902, during the near cut era, there were less than 10 different decanters made during that roughly 20-year period. And you have decanters in feather and other near cut patterns, as well as some of the national glass molds when the company opened in 2002. But they didn't make very many of those during that time, but there were a few. And there were no cocktail shakers, just a handful of decanters and no beverage sets. Well, in 1920, that was when Prohibition was passed. And Prohibition said that you were not allowed to make or sell alcohol. It did not say you couldn't own it. It didn't say you couldn't drink it. So if you knew Prohibition was coming, you could go out and buy up large volumes of your favorite adult beverage and you could consume it with no problem. But what happened during that time, and one of the challenges was that people were trying to make it illegally in not the most sanitary or safe environments, and a lot of people got ill and died, which was not a good thing. But during the Prohibition years, doctors were allowed to prescribe whiskey, and just in case you needed something like that to cure what ailed you. And religious organizations could continue to use wine in their religious services. So alcohol was still out there. But during the 20s, Cambridge removed all specific labels to whiskey or sherry or cordial from their catalogs. But that didn't mean they stopped making decanters and cocktail shakers and beverage sets that would serve alcohol. So as you get into the 27-29 catalog, Prohibition had been in place for about 7 years. And I think the country knew that this experiment of not being able to sell or make alcohol was not going to last. So that's when Cambridge introduced the concept of a beverage set. So a beverage set could serve lemonade, it could serve iced tea, but when you look in the catalog, like a keg set, you're not likely going to be drinking lemonade or iced tea out of the keg set. So even though they didn't use the terms, they were continuing to make the sets where alcohol could be served, and they were pretty cool. And again, they consisted of either a decanter or a cocktail shaker, an under tray, and some drinking vessels to go along with that. As we approached 1930, the end of Prohibition was near, the writing was on the wall, and Cambridge had their designers develop a vast number of decanters. By the time the 1934 catalog was printed, there were 37 different decanters in production and 11 different cocktail shakers. And once Prohibition ended, the terms like cordial, sherry, old fashioned, champagne, stein, brandy inhaler, cabinet flask, pilsner, Weiss beer, cocktail mixer, creme de menthe, sauterne, hock, pousse cafe, burgundy, sparkling burgundy, and several other terms were now printed in those catalogs. And if you take a look at the 3034 catalog, in the back, there's like 10 pages just titled barware. So when Prohibition ended, Cambridge had positioned themselves to have every size, shape, glass, decanter, cordial that they could think of in production to meet the need of the buying public. Then World War II came along, and like many glass companies, specifically Cambridge, a lot of items went out of production. So by 1949, 37 decanters dwindled down to 8. And 11 cocktail shakers dwindled down to 2. And it remained about the same until the close of the factory in 1958. So right there in the 30s, coming right out of Prohibition, Cambridge really created some fun, exciting, unique decanter styles, some of which I've never seen and would love to see at some point. So hopefully we'll get to see a few of those possibly this evening. So I'm going to share a few of the items that I have this evening, and we're going to go roughly in chronological order. So starting in the near cut era, this is, you might think, well, wait a minute, that's in my cologne collection. But Julie informed me after the program that even though this was sold as a cologne and as a decanter, this could be something that a lady could keep on her dresser in her bedroom under the guise of cologne. And when no one was looking, maybe take a drink or two out of this. So it was served two purposes. So this is the Wheat Sheaf Carnival Glass cologne or decanter. This is the only one from the near cut era that I have in my collection. So moving forward, I mentioned the term cabinet flask. This is a forest green apple blossom cabinet flask with the gold ormolu holder, a fantastic piece. I was very lucky to be able to acquire this. And the gold on it, oftentimes it's worn or cracked or tarnished. This is just great. Love it. So a cabinet flask. They came in both the ormolu holder and without, but oftentimes you will find this in amber, gold crystal, forest green, and it will be in the gold ormolu holder. I might be getting a little bit out of order. In the 1920s, Cambridge introduced the pinch decanter, extremely popular all the way into the 1940s. This one has the Yale Bulldog enamel decoration on it. In all 3 pinches, you've got the letter Y for Yale plus an image of the Bulldog. Fun piece. They really made a lot of barware in the Yale design. Cambridge made something called a cordial decanter. This is the Carmen cordial decanter, gold encrusted Bordeaux. It's got a slightly different stopper, and if you're out there trying to match one of these up, these are not the same stoppers. The normal decanter, the 3400 ball decanter, has a much shorter stopper than the cordial decanter has. It's got a slightly longer neck, similar design, obviously, but it needs to stand just a tiny bit taller. So this has got the gold encrusted Bordeaux decoration. We're still in the 1930s. This is a cocktail shaker. I don't believe this one has the correct lid, but it gives you the right idea. This has the black and white skier design on it. This came from the November Michigan show a few years ago. Jim and Leora Laser had this piece in my booth. and a little birdie named Jonathan Furman told me about it. And so I made a beeline for the booth, and this has been sitting nicely in my collection ever since. Fun piece, how they've applied the enamel decoration. Some other fantastic cocktail shakers produced by Cambridge are the Tally-Ho cocktail shakers. They stand probably 15 inches tall. They have a slightly different top on them. It comes with a 2-spout and a 1-spout pour. This is the correct top on this. It's satin on the inside and satin on the bottom of the foot with some green enamel lines, gold lines, as well as a grape motif in enamel and gold. So that's kind of a fun find. And every once in a while, you find a piece out in the wild. Believe it or not, this was sitting in a booth not far from New Philadelphia, Ohio, about 10 years ago. It was one of those moments where the world stopped turning as I walked into the booth and saw that. A similar decanter was made with a handle. To me, this is kind of like the piece de la resistance of decanters made by Cambridge. This too is the Tally-Ho decanter, similar stopper with a nice water lily design on the body of the cocktail shaker. Can you imagine serving friends out of here? That would be quite a treat to be able to serve beverages out of something like this. I wonder what the buying public and people thought drinking out of something so amazing. So we're still in the 1930s. And this is a decanter with a gold decoration. I know it's got a number. It does not have a name. It's Tally-Ho. Got the Tally-Ho stopper with the gold circle on top. Kind of a fun piece. These are not as common as you think they would be, even without the gold on it. But it's just a really nice design, very classic design. One of my favorite designs for a decanter is what I always called the rum pot, but I cannot find any information in a catalog to confirm that this was called a rum pot. It's just a great design. It comes with and without a handle. This one has the handle. It has what I call the drum decorate on it, silver overlay. Usually these come with a stopper that is totally encased in silver, which looks like a little mushroom sitting on top. Fun piece to have in the collection. And then during the 40s, I think it was 40s, Scott might be able to add a little bit of information. Cambridge made decanters and sold them to Farber Brothers. So I want to share a couple of those that I recently picked up. I don't normally collect Farber. This just happens to be in the inventory right now. This is a 3400 decanter, kind of a squat decanter with a faceted stopper. I believe this is the correct stopper. You don't see this stopper too often. But you've got the Farber Brothers metal base. And then I also picked up about a week ago another Farber Brothers decanter. This has what I call the Lifesaver decanter stopper because it comes in what we call the Lifesaver decanter that Cambridge made. This has the Duchess Farber holder on it with the a little bit fancier decoration pinched into the metal. This is the larger size. They made these in 2 sizes. And now we're getting a little bit later in production. This is not a common piece, but you do see it around. This is the Rose Point Cocktail Shaker. This is a little different. This has a screw on, so you're not going to empty this decanter super fast. So while you're shaking it, that would be screwed on. And there are 5 little holes in that opening, plus a tube to allow air to return back into the cocktail shaker so it will return. So there's kind of a circle of 5 openings, plus this tube that sticks almost out to the edge of the metal would allow air to return so it would flow more easily. And the metal does come off, but it fits on there tightly and would not allow any air to get in there. And this is etched Rose Point. They may have made these in a couple different sizes. I think this is the larger of the 2 sizes. I showed earlier the pristine cocktail shaker and the Lily of the Valley. And the last decanter I'm going to show, this is reopen period. This has the same stopper as the earlier decanter in Farber Brothers. This is in smoke, and it's got the lion etching on it. There's 1, 2, 4 lions on here. This is the same lion that's on the Windsor etching that depicts Windsor Castle. Collectors often call it Windsor Castle, but this is the griffin or the lion from that etching that they brought back in the 1950s. I've seen this decanter in moonlight and smoke. It should be in mandarin gold because I've seen the vase, and I've seen the vase in late emerald green as well. So kind of a fun piece to find. So Julie, that is my presentation for this evening. It took 20 minutes. Yay. I didn't go too long. So if anyone has any questions, I can certainly answer those now. And then we can, Julie can take over with the our guests showing their decanters.
You'll need to unmute if you have a question.
This is how it was when I was a teacher. I would do this fantastic presentation. I would ask my students if they had any questions, and almost they never had a question. So really, as an educator, it makes me feel great to know they don't have any questions.
Okay, David, I can't let you off the hook that easily.
I could ask you a question, though.
Well, sure, by all means. I'm just kidding. Please ask.
That the taller one you had with the Farber Brothers one?
Yes.
That pretty fancy silver?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, are those pretty common?
I don't know that
there
the
is
word
one.
is...
There's one sitting in the antique store in town here, but the price is very high.
Yeah, they're common enough that you don't want to pay an exorbitant amount. They come in amber, forest green, amethyst, royal blue. Not sure I've seen it in Carmen. I can't swear to that. So I wouldn't go too high, and they should come with a kind of a wine glass with matching metal. It should match the decorate on this metal. But yeah, you don't want to go too high. I don't want to put a price on anything, but it's not exceptionally rare.
Jeff, if I may address your question, the amber and the amethyst are pretty easy to find. The forest green and the royal blue are harder. But right now the prices should not be up there on those on either size of them. And as well as the stems that match them. They are a beautiful set. And if you want to talk to me later, please do. Good job.
David, I did have a question about the what do we call that? The flask, cabinet flask.
Yeah.
So it was in a gold ormolu. I noticed that also the stopper had an ormolu as well.
Yes, it should.
Okay.
It is encased. I'm not exactly sure. I'm sure they've had a machine or by hand. This is typically called pot metal, so it's pretty soft. So they're able to crimp it on. And then I think they used some solder. Every once in a while you can see a spot where it's kind of filled in. I think that's where they hit it with a little solder gun. And I don't know I think it's just kind of a gold overlay or a gold paint or a gold something sprayed on the outside. And where they weld it together or solder it together, it's also gold. But it's pretty ornate, and it's really kind of a work of art because this is absolutely on there super tight. And it's amazing how they were able to do that without breaking anything.
Yeah, that's a beautiful piece. Absolutely stunning.
No, the ormolu wasn't done by Cambridge.
No, it was not. That's correct. Somebody else would have bought the flask and And we don't know a whole lot about the ormolu. It's out there, and it seems like it's almost always apple blossom. Normally on Gold Cristal, the little oils and perfume bottles. So somewhere in the 1920s, they did this work. Well, I say 1920s, but Forest Green was 1931 or 32. So it must have gone into the 30s as well. Maybe it was only the 30s. I'm not sure.
Okay. And then the rum pot normally has some smaller little glasses with it. Are those hard to find?
In this design, I'm not sure I've ever seen one of the little glasses that go with it that has this. Usually when you see this decanter here, the glasses go with this are like just a swallow. It has a depiction of a swallow, and it just says just a swallow. And it has nothing to do with the fox chase on the decanter itself. I'm not sure. Behind me, you just never know what's on your counter. Here is the tanker matching. Now, this came with Tally-Ho beer steins, and I have a set of beer steins that have this same design on them. But this is Tally-Ho. I'm not sure what glass would have gone with the rum pot. I do not know.
And again, that silver isn't by Cambridge.
Correct. Cambridge did not do silver decoration, so anything with silver is done by an outside company, and I'm not sure who did this particular design.
David, on the Cambridge did one set with using that decanter with the tumblers, and they're like the little barrel tumblers, the 2.5 ounce little barrel tumblers, and that's the only thing that I'm aware of that Cambridge put with those. They did do that same rum pot, by the way, in a Farber Hahn, so Scott probably knows about that, but
yeah, that's that one. Maybe it sits up a little taller on kind of an elevated stand. Ta-da! Ask and you shall see. There it is. But yeah, Jack, that sounds perfectly legit that they would use that generic barrel tumbler, that 2.5 ounce tumbler, to go with any of the decanters they were making in 3400 line. Great questions.
Any other questions for David before we go to show and tell? Okay, how about if we start with Scott and Kathy and put Shelby and Kathy on deck?
Okay. Well, our lovely leader there did a great job on his presentation, I believe. We were happy with it. Again, he talked about the new cut era, near cut, sorry. And what we have here is a 2696, and it's considered to be a whiskey jug. And the stopper is in the same pattern. And then the Pristine 101, I think we're probably going to see a lot of these tonight. And I'm showing this one just because it's the, you don't see it often, it's the Magnolia cutting. And then we have a 379785. Wow, that's a lot of numbers. The decanter. And you agree or not, Dave? Okay, but it's frosted on the inside, and then it's black and gold decoration on the outside, and a huge ball decanter or stopper. And then one that's like a lot of other things. This is like the 1321, but it's the Sheffield silver foot on it. And it's a cutting like King Edward, but it doesn't have the lines. There's a lot of variables as you go through the books. And this is one of them. We could not find this one exactly. So I think the cutter got tired and just passed it off and it made it through quality control. And then it wouldn't be me if it weren't some Farber involved, right? And it's Farber Brothers, and this is a amethyst, and it's sometimes referred to as the rum pot. And this comes both in this with the tall foot, and it's also, there's a short foot where it just sets right down almost on the tabletop. And it's the mushroom type stopper. And this one has the Cambridge label on it, which fell off and I taped it back on because it belongs there. That's all. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Beautiful pieces. So very interesting. I know the King Edward, that also comes in Chantilly as well. Very similar. Do we know of any other cuttings that comes in, particularly with the silver? Is anyone aware? No, none that I hear of.
Anybody? Bueller?
Okay. And then also on the pristine, the square, that's very interesting. I have not often seen that decorated. That's really a stunning piece. And you said it's frosted on the inside with black and gold decoration?
Yep.
It's a Charlton decoration.
Charlton, is it? Okay.
Beautiful piece.
And they work. We've done a little testing.
Oh, good. Well, thank you so much for sharing. I really appreciate that. Beautiful pieces. Really, really nice pieces. And thank you for showing. I really enjoy seeing the rum pot. And as you said, they have the taller holder and the shorter holder. And what colors does that come in the Farberware, Scott?
That's the amber, the amethyst. I've seen it in the forest green.
Cobalt.
Heard there was one in Carmen, but I didn't see it. And when I went to look for it, all I found was another amethyst. So I think somebody may have just been off on their.
Yeah, I wondered because sometimes when we see the Farberware, we also see in the gold holders. Do we know if it came in the Carmen with maybe a gold holder? Does anybody know?
I've seen some Carmen in the what they call the gold mosaic, and it's a beautiful combination.
Yes.
They're hard to find. There's not a lot of the gold frames out there.
Okay. Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for sharing.
Hey, Scott.
Next.
Scott,
Yes, sir.
just real quick. We know the rum pot came in Carmen. So I think what Julie was asking is, as far as production, did Farber Brothers purchase Carmen glass? Because you could easily take the amethyst out and put the Carmen one in if you wanted to. But I think what Julie was really getting to is, did Farber Brothers actually buy Carmen glass? Because it was a bit more expensive to buy because of the refiring. Did they purchase Carmen glass for Farber?
Right, in the book, in the Julie, I can't pronounce her last name.
Sorry.
It says that rum pot comes in Carmen.
Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, thank you. Well, next we have Shelby and Kathy, and we'll put Mary and Jeff on deck, please.
Okay, my items are golf related. Can you see that?
You hold it back a little bit.
My picture is, I can just see the little square. But this is the 525 golf scene. And David, this is the top the same top that you had on that one piece that you shared. Can you see? Unfortunately, they didn't gold encrust golf scene, so it doesn't show up like it would if it was golden crusted. So this is emerald. And then the same piece in peach blow.
Shelby, how many of those decanters have you seen in all your years of collecting?
These two.
Okay. They are extremely rare. If
Yeah,
you're
they are they're and I know you had it. I had one briefly, but probably the only harder piece in golf scene is the pitcher.
well, the museum has the picture now.
Okay, with the chips, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now this piece, you didn't cover this, so maybe this doesn't qualify.
Oh.
But this is the 1408 60-ounce martini shaker. Whether you can see it, it's supposedly Hawks cut 19th hole, but it's not signed. But it was purchased from a dealer years ago that was doing the Cambridge show, and supposedly it was authenticated that it was a Hawks cutting on it. So, but that's obviously a big piece. So, but that's the golf related items that I have to share this evening.
Well, those are wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. And I believe the 19th hole was supposed to be for the Cambridge Country Club, correct, David?
Ooh, I'm not the right person to ask on that.
There's a building on it.
Yes.
I think it's supposed to be the Cambridge Country Club, if I remember correctly.
Well, I know
And-
on the etching, it's supposed to be the Cambridge
Yes.
Country Club. The 19th hole is kind of a generic term for golfers when you get to the bar at the end of your round.
Well, yeah.
Right. It does have like a clubhouse
With a flag on it.
with a flag on it in as part of the cutting. So
Yes. Well, beautiful pieces. And I'm sure we're all envious of those decanters that you have, because we know how unusual they are and so very, very hard to find. So thank you so much for sharing those with us.
thank you.
So next we have Mary and Jeff, and we will put Robert on deck, please.
Yeah, we had to pick out a few here that were some of our favorites. This is, I think this is mulberry. It's light. It's pretty light amethyst, and I did not look up the decoration on it. I can't remember what it is, but it's got the urn with the flowers and the chains on it and the blown stopper. We don't have any glasses that go with that one, unfortunately. And then this one is you might have had, this might have been at the program. Not ours, of course, but it's moonlight blue, and it's got the ladies dancing, different scenes on it. And then this one wanted to show just because it's got the Ferenz etch, and you just we don't see a lot of that etch anywhere. So, and I just thought this was such a neat, because it's so tall. And then this one, so we love the cabinet flasks, but you never see them. We don't see them around here at all anyway. This one is, it's got the Porsche etch, and it did come with a set of these little shot glasses, which I just get such a kick out of. I mean, these things are so tiny with the etch on them. So. And then we do have a Farber Caprice decanter here, and this came with the set of the little glasses too. And then the last piece that we brought out was And it was in the catalog with the beverage sets, and I thought, well, since it's getting to holiday time, it's the Carmen Ball jug with the red handle, and I just think with the red handle, so striking. And it came with a set of these glasses too. We wouldn't be serving our beer out of this, but it would be a classy way to serve it. That's it.
Oh, well, thank you. And I agree. I love those little glasses. They are so adorable. And what a beautiful set. Really, really beautiful set. And I agree. I think it would be a fancy way to serve beer out of a very beautiful Carmen pitcher. So very nice pieces. And thank you, as always, for sharing so much with us. So next we're going to go over to Robert, and we'll put John on deck, please. Are you there, Robert? You have to unmute. Let me see if I can find you. Okay, I asked you to unmute.
Julie, while you're doing that, I might share the little cone-footed tumblers that came with the Emerald cocktail shaker from Gene Florence about 25 years ago. So these are actually is a hard size to find in the tumblers.
Those are really nice. And about how many ounces do those hold, Shelby?
This is a 5-ounce. And then the little guy is about 3 ounces, and those are harder to find in that size.
Wow. Beautiful. Thank you for sharing. Okay, Robert, did you figure out how to unmute? Okay, while you're working on that, we'll put John in front of you, and then hopefully you'll figure out how to unmute in the meantime. So John, if you would like to go now, and then we'll put Robert on deck.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm John. I have a decanter it's just the 3400 tilt, but I'm not sure if you can see that it's etched in Portia. Are you able to see the etching?
Yes, barely.
Yeah.
What
And
color
I
is
found
it,
this-
John? Is it black?
It's amethyst.
Amethyst, okay.
Yeah. And I found that in the wild, as it were. And I know this is not, oh, I guess, David, a follow-up question. Could I hope to find some matching glasses somewhere? At some point, did they usually make sets with the decanters with glasses that matched?
I wish you luck finding those tumblers. I believe I have seen one of the 2.5-ounce barrel tumblers in Amethyst Portia over the years, but that it's going to be a tough find.
Yeah.
But it's a great decanter. It's the first decanter I've ever seen.
Well, and I know this is not quite a decanter, but it has a friend that's also etched in Portia. That's I think a 72-ounce jug.
And what color is that?
Royal blue.
Oh my, very nice.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, the only problem in this one does have a crack in the handle at the top.
Well, that's an exceptional piece. Amazing.
Yeah.
So, and yeah, that's what I have to share.
Well, you've shared some stupendous pieces. I think a lot of people are in awe, because I know I've never seen Amethyst Portia. And as David said, the picture that you have will forgive the crack. You don't see it, rarely I don't think I've ever seen one, and just beautiful pieces. So I'm so glad that
Thank
you were
you.
able to join us tonight and share with us. And I hope you'll join us in the future and bring some of those other pieces you found in the wild.
Okay,
So we'll
Thank
we'll
you.
look forward to seeing you next month, obviously.
okay.
So
Thank
thank
you
you
for letting
so
me
much,
share.
John. Those are beautiful, beautiful pieces. So
Thank you.
Robert, have you been able to figure out how to
Yes, I
unmute?
think I did.
Excellent. There you are. Okay, Robert's unmuted, and then we will put Gwinnell on deck, please.
Okay, like I was saying, I've got the amethyst with 6 of the barrel glasses. And I've got cobalt blue with 5 of these glasses. I have carmine with 5 of these, or yeah, 5 of these. Those aren't the barrel glasses that I see. And then I've got I think it's called ebony, isn't it? The black one. Got the black decanter with 5 of these, and it has the Farber Brothers cover on it, whatever you call that. And that's it.
Well, thank you. And would you be so kind as to hold up the little Carmen glass with the other little glass? Those look it looked like such a different shape to me.
It's a different type of glass,
Yes.
but I'm not sure what it is. I think I never even noticed it until I was just looking at it when I showed it to you guys.
The Carmen tumbler is Cambridge. I'm not 100% certain that's the correct tumbler that was sold with that decanter, but that is definitely a Cambridge tumbler.
Yeah, I've got 5 tumblers like that.
Hmm. I really kind of like that shape, actually, with the little rounded curve. Very nice. And really nice piece too with the also with the Farber holders.
Uh-huh. And the glasses all have Farber holders too.
Yes. Very nice. Well, I'm glad that you are joining us tonight and sharing. Thank you so much. And it's always great to see you, Robert.
Thank you.
Next, we'll have Gwinnell, and we'll put Les on deck.
Good evening, everyone. Actually, I have to have a Caprice decanter. This is the Moonlight Alpine. And with the small 2-ounce tumbler. And then the royal blue peach decanter with, I guess, the golf ball style stopper. And that's it.
Well, thank you, Gwinnell. And of course, I was counting on you for Caprice. So I would have been disappointed had you not had a Caprice piece. But I always enjoy those small little tumblers. I just like the shape. But it always reminds us now that, you know, so many of these tumblers and these small little glasses, it kind of makes you think back that they weren't really drinking a lot at the time. And now you look at the size that we have, and all of us would kind of look at it as like, well, where's the rest of it? Because, you know, that's only 2.5 ounces, which is not very large, actually. And now, you know, most of our beer steins are so much larger. And I think when we actually look at the sizes of like the 2-ounce cocktails and the 3-ounce cocktails, very small. And now these are almost like little jiggers for some of these very small little tumblers that we see. So it's always nice to see the comparison in size. So thank you.
Hey, Julie, just one comment before we go on to Les. even though when I introduced decanter and the term came from the French, during the time that Cambridge was making their decanters, wine consumption in the United States was limited. So most of the decanters of that era were used for serving whiskey and gin and bourbon. So maybe that's why the tumblers are a little bit smaller.
That could be true.
You don't want a
And
10-ounce whiskey pour.
well, no, and I think as we know, we've kind of supersized in the US too. So I think people our glasses have gotten bigger too. So with that being said, we'll move to Les and we'll put Jack and Elaine on deck.
Okay, thank you, Julie. So got a few examples. This is the four-sided cocktail shaker from the 1920s. So they did introduce a pair of these in the 1920s. This one does have the Yale Bulldogs design, and as David mentioned, of the varsity sports, there's more Yale sports examples than any other, right? And probably um, Dartmouth would come next as far as the most common among the varsity sports decorations. We don't know. Probably these were sold in stores in the campus towns, of course, maybe even in the bookstore at those universities. And maybe the Yaleys had a little more money than some other universities because it is what you see most common. The other shape from the 1920s, the cocktail shaker, it's similar in size, but it has the 10-sided bottom. And Shelby, I'm sorry, this silver really needs polishing, but it is the golfer. And when it's polished, it looks great. I don't like polishing silver, but this one really needs it. It's a very similar shape, except that it is 10-sided instead of 4-sided on the bottom. But again, they introduced these in the 20s during Prohibition. I like all enamels. And this one is an enamel decoration that's very hard to find. It doesn't have a name. Many of us just call it Lady with Bubbles. It's pretty obscure. There's not a lot of pieces out there. Normally, this shape of a decanter has the golf ball stopper. This stopper fits perfectly and the color is right. So we tend to think that it's probably original to the bottom. I do have one other piece that's not a cocktail shaker with that same design. This is the cocktail mixer, it's called. It's in the 1930s catalog. I don't know. This piece was in a couple collections in Cambridge before it came to Minnesota. So I don't know if there's many of these out there. This might be the same one that's been photographed a number of times. And it's got the 3400 darts on the side. So it's kind of a cool piece. Back to the varsity sports. This is a pinch decanter, and we've seen a couple of those. However, the design on this one is Harvard, and there's just not much Harvard out there at all. And a lot of Harvard people are really looking for it. So this is one of those things that came up. Buy it now on eBay many years ago, and I happened to be the first one there, and it did have tumblers that came with it as all. So it's very hard to find Harvard. Another one that's very hard to find is U of P, which is University of Pennsylvania. And so I was tickled to be able to add this to the collection. It's got the pillow type top. It is a cocktail shaker that you can turn. It's a pretty heavy piece of glass. It's very thick. But again, with the University of Pennsylvania varsity sports decoration, it's pretty unusual. And I just love that shape of a cocktail shaker. And they didn't seem to make as many of it. Now, this is an odd one. So I don't see it. It's got the 3 canny Scots in reverse. Can you see it? Is it showing up, Julie? Can you see it?
Very hard to see.
Yeah. It's got the 3 cannies there, maybe a little better there.
That's better, much
There
better.
you can see them. So I had the good fortune when Judy Bennett had her shop. Judy was such a good friend. She would save enamel decorations for me, especially the varsity sports. And she thought this came out of a worker's home in Cambridge That's what she told me. And so it's very bizarre. It's got the lettering on the bottom, three Caney Scots. So it's satin finish with the three Caney Scots in reverse. So this is a fairly common shaped decanter. It's just that it's unusual with that decoration on it. So thank you, Julie.
Well, thank you so much. And I find it very interesting. That's the first pillow top I've seen in a long time. What other colors that, you've got it obviously where it's got the enamel. What other colors did that come in, Les?
It came in all the colors from the 1930s. The one that's very popular is the Carmen one with the horse in the heart. That's um, and that was in my collection at one time. It's gone elsewhere. But that's a real popular piece. And that decoration, I think, also comes on royal blue, forest green.
Okay.
So it came in all those colors from the 1930s, but it's not a very common cocktail shaker to find.
So then my next question is on the mixer, which is I'll call her Bubble Girl for lack of better things. Did it have actually a stir with it at one time?
Well,
Or-
that could be. I don't recall if the catalog had the stir stick with it. I can't remember. Anybody could look in the 1930s catalog and see if it did. Maybe well that it was sold with a stirring stick.
Yeah, beautiful pieces, beautiful.
Of course, the stirring stick was metal. It wasn't glass.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Oh, thank you so much. Those are gorgeous pieces. And I think if anyone found one of those enamels in Ohio State, I think it would be a true winner here back in the homeland. So I know many people are searching for it, but I've never seen one at all.
There's
So
only been a few pieces that have surfaced. The other one that's extremely hard and would be popular is the Wisconsin Badgers.
yeah.
A few pieces of that as well have popped up.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Appreciate that, Les. And now we have Jack and Elaine, and we'll wait till Jack's done, and we'll see if anyone else has anything to share for us.
Okay, thank you, Julie. The first thing I want to show, David had already shown, but I'm going to show our cabinet flask, and it's apple blossom, but this is amber, as David's was forest green. But I just thought the reason I wanted to show this is, these ormolu holders are really, I thought, really interesting, and probably more often than not, the piece can slip in and out pretty easily as they did it with vases and other things. But this was one they didn't, and they really wrapped and soldered the piece. We have a number of Elaine pieces in the ormolu holder, as well as Elaine vases, etc. And most of them can slide in and out, but some are soldered completely shut, just like this one. So it's kind of a cool piece. This was one that Elaine was favorited on. So, let's see. Wanted to, okay, so this is the 1321, and this is cut Lucia. And with the stoppers, they were typically either cut in, where you see they're really kind of a rough in, but cut in so they fit in very nicely, or they were polished in. And we discovered, in fact, David was really pointing this out the other day on this, is that when one of these was cut, they actually polished in the stopper, and they also cut the top differently. So this top is the top on here, the stopper is very sharp faceted, whereas on the normal 1321, it's very rounded and beveled, etc. Where this one has a very sharp edges. So that was a pretty cool piece. Okay, we've got a couple of Elaine ones. This is the 1323 decanter. It's got a very nice optic to it, etched Elaine, has the golf ball stopper, which is cut in. So this is the only one of these I've ever seen in Elaine. We've had this for a while. In fact, this came, I think, courtesy of Rick Jones many, 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 many years ago. So That's a pretty special piece in our collection. And we have to show our rum pot, our Elaine one. This is so funny because years and years ago, people you may know, Squeak and Dorothy Riker were visiting our collection, and they were looking at our pieces, and this of course goes in a 3400 case. We didn't have this there, and they go, "What? You don't have a rum pot? Well, you don't have much of a collection if you don't have a rum pot." So finally, years later, we were able to obtain one. So, and but it's got this. I like that stopper. It's just cool. I don't know what it is about it, but it's just different. So. We don't have any of the, well, we do have a bunch of the barrel tumblers, but they're with the other kind of that little ball decanter. So we didn't have anything that went with that. Last Elaine piece. I'm going to get back to show this one. This is the, I guess it's the 1372 decanter, and it is gold encrusted Elaine. This came really two ways, actually three, but technically only two. It also came with a cut flute neck on it. And you see rose point, I've seen rose point ones both ways. This is the only Elaine one we've ever seen. And it's a tall piece, so we had to find a special spot for this. Last couple. These 1529 decanters. I think David showed one earlier. Here is a Moonlight one. And it is rock crystal engraved wedding rings. Wedding rings didn't have one of the few that didn't have a number or anything back in the reopening period. They just called it wedding rings. So pretty cool piece. And another one, and this is in late pink again. And this is Starlight. And this did have a number, 10P. So, and that's it. Thank you, Julie.
Oh, thank you, Jack. The beautiful Elaine pieces. The gold encrusted is very beautiful. How tall is that? How many inches? Just out of curiosity.
I'll tell you, let's see. It's about 16 inches.
Wow. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, very interesting. Well, thank you so much for sharing. Beautiful pieces. And I think the wedding ring is very lovely in that moonlight blue. Just really brings out the rings, I think.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you. Is there anyone else that we missed that has something to share this evening? All quiet.
I wanted to just show you that we do have there's a pillow top in the
Ooh, thank you.
forest green or dark emerald, whatever, I'm not sure.
I just love that shape.
I do too.
Something about it I like. I don't know why. It's just aesthetic to me. But thank you for that.
Julie, Greg Voss is trying to get your attention.
Oh, Greg. Pipe in.
Mark's phone's trying to say something too.
You must be muted.
He is.
I've asked you to unmute.
Okay. I had to press another button. Well, good evening, everyone. This has really been a very enjoyable program. David showed one of the reopen period decanters and smoke with lion on it, and I have one in moonlight with lion on it, and it's just one of my favorite pieces in my collection. Really, really cool. Oh, I had a question. Well, you get questions when you look at things. This is just a ball decanter, and with the Achilles cutting on it, and I think most of us might agree that certain etchings and cuttings look better on certain items. And on the ball jug, I just think Achilles really is just a really, really stunning, makes a very stunning ball jug. But the question I had that I thought of when I was looking at it was the matching ball tumblers. I don't know that I've seen one in Achilles, or for that matter, I don't believe I've seen many ball tumblers with cuttings on it. And some of you might know about that.
Greg, I think most likely you'd see the barrel tumblers served with that jug. I've never seen the mushroom tumbler, I think is what you're referring to, with a cutting on it. So maybe they use the barrel that looks like the old whiskey barrel shaped tumblers. Those probably could be more apt to have a cutting applied to them versus the mushroom tumbler. That's my educated guess.
Okay. Has anybody seen that with Achilles? One of those?
Oh.
I assume maybe they didn't make matching tumblers for maybe every jug that they made. Maybe they didn't specifically make matching glasses to go with it, maybe. Last thing I have is I like the 1321 decanters, and they of course came in the smaller version of, I think it's 14 ounce of 1320 decanters. And Les, was your reverse candy Scots, was it the smaller or the larger?
Smaller one.
Okay. Well, these smaller ones I have found in the solid colors, royal blue and amber, and I think one of them in carmine, forest green. They come in those colors. I've never seen a smaller one with a etching on it, but they may have made them. But this is in Diane. This is you will find this is findable in Rose Point, but it's a little bit harder to find with an etching on it other than Rose Point. But this is one in Diane. And my favorite 1321 decanter I found in the wild. It is a wild find. And what I think is kind of cool about this etching is it's Yukon. And not only is the decoration on the body, but they put a little bit of Yukon on the base, which I don't think you find that on many of these decanters. The base doesn't have any kind of a treatment on it, but this has a little band of the etching Yukon. And also on the stopper, they put a little bit of it also, which is kind of cool. That's that. That's all I got.
Well, I love that Yukon decanter. And again, like you said, I really love how they took the decoration from the top to the bottom and just really kind of dressed up the base, so to speak, and the stopper. So really unique piece, lovely. And of course, Moonlight Blue with the griffins on them is a stupendous piece as well. So thank you so much for sharing with us, Greg. Really appreciate that.
Hey, Julie, Greg,
yeah.
I did a quick search on the website, and there are no tumblers shown on the website to if any style to go with the ball jug or the decanter for that matter.
Really?
They'd have the stemware is shown, and the trumpet sherry for the sherry decanter. If you were ever lucky enough to find the sherry decanter, they did make a tumbler for that, but no mushroom tumblers and no barrel tumblers. So my educated guess was a bad guess.
Well, they did, David, they did cut the barrel tumblers.
The little ones?
No, the big ones.
Oh, they did. Okay.
Yeah, they did cut the, what are they? I don't know, what are they, 10 ounce or 12 ounce? And they could be optic or non-optic. And they did cut those. They're very, very hard to find, though. I've only seen a few. So
okay.
I don't know that they put those with the ball jug or not, but
have you seen them cut Achilles?
No.
Okay. Okay.
No, it was like some funky numbered cutting is the only time I've ever seen them. So,
All right.
yeah.
Interesting.
Thank you.
Well, I think we're now all out on a search for several different kinds of decanters because obviously I'm seeing several things that I think now I have to have. So it always gives us pause to say, wow, what a great piece. Unbelievably beautiful. And why don't I have one in my collection? I always ask myself that. And I've gone by things before and I'm like, oh yeah, maybe. And then I go back and it's not there any longer. But tonight I've seen some beautiful pieces and certainly I think I need to add a few things to my collection after seeing a few things. I think I'm going to need a flask of some sort and also, just really dynamic pieces tonight. So thank you to everyone that shares. It's always a pleasure to see what people have at their homes, that we see things unexpectedly. So obviously, I think we saw several pieces tonight that I was very surprised to see. So thank you again to everyone that's joined us tonight. And in the meantime, I'm going to turn it back to Jack. I believe he's going to preface his upcoming program.
Yeah, okay, thank you, Julie. The Zoom team really we kind of mulled this one over quite a bit when we started looking at the topic of candlesticks. Because as you would be aware, it's just an enormous category. So how we just kind of mulled over, how are we going to do this? Because if we were to just do candlesticks, that's like just way too big. So we decided to kind of divide it up into categories, and we're going to do one in December, and then we'll do a few more later on in next year. And how we decided to divide it up is in the first one, which we'll do in December, is going to be on one light candlesticks. So just candlesticks that hold one candlestick, one light candlestick, such as this one. Okay. That's it. And no Bobachets. You can put any pern on it as long as, the pern is when you have an arm and vases. But it's still going to be just a one light candlestick. Then later on, next year sometime, the next category is actually going to be two light candlesticks. And there's just a ton of two light candlesticks of all different kinds, shapes, sizes, colors. Again, no Bobachets. You can do it perns, but no Bobachets. And then the third and final one of the candlestick version will be, say, 3 lights or more, because there are 3 lights, there are 4 lights, there are 5 lights. And there are a lot of those. So, and then the very final one we'll do somewhere down the road. We'll do one that is the candelabras with Bobachets, which is a whole bunch by itself. So we'll do 4 of them, and who knows, when we'll do the next one, but it'll be sometime in the year. David's going to figure that out and schedule. So we'll do 1 lights in December. So that's my take. If anybody has any questions, should be fairly straightforward. Everybody's got 1 light candlesticks, I'm sure, in their collection. So great. Okay, thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jack. I think we'll be looking forward to next month and digging out our candlesticks, singularly, of course. So I'm going to turn it back. David, do you have any closing comments for us tonight?
There are a few people I need to contact about making some purchases after the program. But other than that, I just want to thank everyone for sharing. We try to make the program so that people have glass from their collections to share. And when you bring glass out of your cases to share with people on the Zoom program, it's much appreciated. And it's just so fun to see the unique pieces Shelby had some great pieces that you never see. Jonathan shared some beautiful pieces that he has found, and everyone has shared some wonderful pieces that they have that though oftentimes we don't travel with those pieces to convention. And so they just kind of hang out in people's homes and they don't really get appreciated by the broader collecting community. So that's what Zoom and Tell is all about, is bringing those pieces out so people can see what's really out there and what to look for. And it keeps us motivated to hit that next antique shop when we're out traveling. So thank you very much for everyone for doing that. After Jack's going to do the One Light candlesticks in December, and then back by very popular demand in January is favorite pieces found the prior year. So it would be favorite pieces found in 2024. So wherever you got it, whether it was off eBay, out in the wild, at convention, at a local estate sale or auction, wherever, whatever you acquired, pick about 5 up to 5 pieces. It doesn't have to be a singular favorite piece. So if you can bring up to 5 pieces or so that you found during 2024 that were your favorites. So everyone has something to fit that category. So we look forward to that in January. So thank you again, Jolie, for hosting. You always do a great job. And thanks again for everybody who shared their glass this evening.
Yes, thank you, David. And as always, just like David said, we've seen some great pieces tonight, pieces that you rarely ever see or you've never seen. And it's only, we see them because you've been willing to open up your home and share them with us. And for that, I truly appreciate that, as do all the other collectors that are here online with us tonight. So we love to see what's out there. It always, as David said, now I've got to run down to my local antique store and see if I can't find a cabinet flask somewhere, because now I just decided I just have to have one. So I'm sure most of us saw some things tonight that shapes, colors, there's a variety of things, but it all makes us a community as well of appreciating Cambridge glass. And that's really what this is about, is sharing, learning something along the way, and just really having the community that we have. So thank you to everyone that joined us this evening. We look forward to seeing everyone next month. And I know I'm looking forward to January because I was not able to attend last year and it didn't get taped. And now I can't wait to see what everyone found in 2024. So have a good evening, and we'll see everybody next month.